Hey, soul survivors, this is an important video based on if you have shared custody with someone who is a narcissist. So this lady has said that I have divorced in June. He already got back with some ex-girlfriend, but she now has two children with two different guys. Her ex, she's saying, doesn't look at his own children, but he looks after hers. My viewer says that she has a feeling that he will marry her as soon as possible and maybe have a new child. He is a complete idiot. Just want to show the world how big he is and powerful. My problem is how to explain to our child who is suffering because of father's decision what is wrong with his father. So I don't know the age of this child. There are age appropriate things, but be really cautious on how you proceed with this. A lot of us want to say, this is what's wrong with your father. Could be a mother. Females can be narcissists too. So flip-flop it how you need to. But there is a court order most of the time not to disparage the other parent. So be really cautious on that. It can be used against you in a court of law. So we also have to realize that our child may resent us. They may feel that we're turning the child against, let's say, the father in this case. So it is the child's decision. And they're going to see over time, does he show up for me? Does he love me? Is he yelling at me? Is he doing this or that? If it is extremely abusive, you can get the courts involved, have the courts handle it. But we can lead by example. So instead of saying he's living with somebody, he's having a child out of wedlock, or he rushed into marriage, we can show them what we feel is correct. So you can adjust it to your situation, but let's say it's going to church or synagogue or mosque, saying that, we want to uphold to waiting till marriage, or we're not going to rush into marriage, that we lead by example, because it can turn the child against you, even if you are doing everything right, because the child will be in a triggered state and they will have some pain. And it's just a shift that I am telling you could backfire. A lot of children, you have to be cautious if they have a narcissistic parent, and then we overcompensate, that they can turn out narcissistic. So hold true to your values, even if they're making poor choices. Let the child know what are good choices. We shouldn't drink or do drugs, and lead by example and reinforce it. So if they start to see the life that you're living, that it's turning out better or more committed, or whatever the things are, consistently show up for them. It may be a period of time where the child doesn't quite understand. They're longing for the love from the parent that isn't there. So that's where their focus is going to be. So be consistent in the love that you give your child. And I hear your anger. You call him an idiot. I get it. I get where you're coming from. But even if they are idiots, to try to watch our words, because the child can take it a different way. The courts can take it a different way. And for one thing, we want the courts on our side. It is scary when you're dealing with a narcissist. Depends on how narcissistic they are. There are different scales. You can talk to your child, say, does that really make sense? When they get gaslit, present them with evidence, teach them how to work through things, to look for red flags, do it in a generalized term instead of targeting the ex. Comfort your child, let them know that they mean the world to you, that you don't have to say that, well, daddy doesn't show up, but mommy's here. Just say, mommy's here for you. And it's a little shift that we release our anger. And I get where you're coming from, but I am telling you that this is a warning that I hope my viewers heed, is that it can turn the child against the parent that's trying. So lead by example. Be open to hearing what your child says. Talk through it with them. Let them make the decision. Was that kind? Was that kind not to show up? Should we show up? Should we keep our word? As opposed to daddy doesn't keep his word, does he? To where the child works through it, as opposed to you telling them like dad's a piece of crap. Even if he is, there's a way to handle it in a way that is not going to backfire on you. So it's a difficult situation, but I promise you there's a certain way to handle it. Otherwise, it can turn the child against you. So I understand where you're coming from. I understand the anger. I understand you looking at like, what are you doing? You left this stable relationship for somebody who seems unstable, having, babies by two different men. And I think they're living together. I don't have my glasses on. But even if they're not, a narcissist will rush into marriage, and it's going to be a rocky marriage. Eventually, it might work out in the beginning, but we have to let life unfold sometimes. And there's a purpose to everything. So maybe this purpose is however you take it, but I would take it as I'm going to teach my child how to protect themselves, how to see red flags, not to blame the other parent, but to talk through it. Why are you so upset today? How does that make you feel? And just talk through it. How can we make this better? Maybe they can even talk to dad and just, try to say, well, that wasn't, you can say things like that wasn't very kind to him not to listen to you, to dismiss you. So our child learns from it. It's a tough lesson, but in the end, it will help them. You don't have to necessarily build the other parent up, especially if you don't feel they deserve that, but try to keep it neutral and try to be there for your child's concerns. But disparaging the other parent, whether it's deserved or not, will backfire. And stay true to yourself. Just show them what a great parent you are. Don't overcompensate. Don't do like, $2,000 birthdays or taking them all over the place, because then they're going to like expect that that's what you're treated, a vacation every weekend. And then when they grow up, it's like, what's going on? I can't find anybody who's going to take me on vacations every weekend. That you just keep a stable, kind of normal lifestyle, and just love them. They're going to be drawn to love. It might not be till later. They might not realize what they have, but they're going to start to realize what they don't have with the father. I hope that was helpful. Please heed that warning. A lot of us want to tell our children like, hey, this is what's up, but we have to let them figure it out. We have to. So I hope leading by example, teaching them values and ways to own their own feelings, to understand their feelings. That gives this situation a little bit of purpose too. And it's rough. It's rough. We shouldn't have this purpose. But please heed that warning. Big hugs to you. I know it's hard. It's frustrating. It's hurtful, but there's a fine line of this working out or not working out in your favor.